Welcome to the Sports Report Podcast with Ben, Ricky, and Jalen. We cover trending and popular topics surrounding the world of professional and on-campus sports. With each of us having a unique sports background, we give different perspectives and insight on the current climate of sports news. And now, here are your hosts. Welcome back to the Sports Report Pod. Class is in session. I'm Ben here with Jalen and Ricky. It's our first recorded episode,
yes,
as you can see on the camera.
Finally, you guys get to see us.
Yeah, we're finally got the camera. Thanks to Ricky for setting that all up.
You know, we're evolving right now. We're evolving.
Yeah,
we're
gotta keep it going.
Yeah.
So we're going to get right into the NBA playoff seeding. The NBA standings are really close, especially in the West right now. So we'll start with Ricky. What's been your main takeaway with the playoffs just a few games away now?
It's been crazy. The last, pretty much after All-Star break, it's been insane. What is it? 1 through 10 are all over 500. It's like the first time.
11.
1 through 11.
West,
yeah, it's like the first time in NBA history. I think right that every 1 through 11 is.
It's got to be up there.
Yeah, it has
sure.
to be. Yeah, I think this playoffs for sure, and the play-in it has to be a must-watch, especially in the West. These teams are playing out of their mind as far as top three teams and even the bottom teams. I mean, we have the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Kings in the play-in right now.
Yep.
I forgot the other team on top of my head, but
the Pelicans.
The Pelicans, yeah, it's gonna be gritty this year. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, to your point, ever since the play-in has gotten instated, we've seen those young teams kind of round out the 7 through 10 seeds with the vets who have the top stars waiting for them in the next round. This year it's kind of flipped, where we got the Timberwolves, the Thunder, Pelicans, teams like that, young teams in the top 6, and teams like Golden State, the Lakers, the Kings, the Suns battling out in the play-in. So we're going to have the young guys who are already locked in waiting to see kind of the old guard battle it out in the first round, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because it's usually the other way around. You got the vets waiting for to see which young team is going to, kind of prove themselves to see who's going to be contending in the later years. It's the reverse. It's like, oh, the young guys are locked in already. Like, we don't have to worry about them getting bounced early. Now it's like, okay, what previously contending veteran team is going to come in and play the young team when they have home court in a 7-game series. So I think that aspect, at least in the West, oh my God, that's super fun.
Yeah, no, it's a battle. I mean, and the teams right now could still move up. Like, the Lakers,
so close.
The Lakers are 11 games above 500, and they're the 9th seed in the West. That's crazy. But they're 1 game behind the Kings for 8, and that's the difference between only playing 1 play-in game, and then you have to win 2 in a row.
Yep.
Compared to where you could lose 1 if you're up in the 7-8.
Huge. Suns are getting hot. They won last night.
Yes, and Suns are only a game and a half up with the Lakers, so the Lakers could even jump up to 6. Like, all those teams, the Suns, Pelicans, Kings, Lakers, Warriors are a little further back right now. Those teams could all jump up and not have to go through the play-in, and with just 5 games left. So every regular season game is super important down the stretch. But like you said, it's going to be exciting. We got the young teams up top. Timberwolves are tied with the Nuggets for the 1 seed right now. Then the Thunder right a game back in 3rd, so it's going to be wild. Clippers seem to be solidified in 4th, and then Dallas is 5th. I want Clippers, Dallas. Luka has already had battles with the Clippers in the playoffs. Now he's got Kyrie and facing Harden, Paul George, Kawhi.
Yeah, Dallas is not a team I don't think anybody wants to see in the first round.
It's going to be real scary. It's really hard to guard Luka and Kyrie, especially when they get it going. Plus, they're in the playoffs.
Kyrie in the playoffs is killer.
Yeah, and I feel like Luka, he's been kind of out the picture as far as MVP goes.
I think he is the MVP right now.
I personally
think
if
I had to vote, it would be Luka over Jokic. Jokic would be 2nd. They're neck and neck, but Luka for me.
Who do you guys have? You guys have Jokic winning MVP right now?
I think he's going to.
Yeah, I think he's been the front runner for pretty much the whole season. I think he should for sure, especially after last year, the whole thing with Jokic versus Embiid, and Embiid kind of edging him out just because he didn't have an MVP already. It'll come back to cycle Jokic's way, I think, this year. Like you were saying, he'll probably win it.
Yeah.
They haven't really talked about it that much this year. I mean, I think Shai might be up there.
He's 3rd right now.
He's 3rd? Oh, okay.
In the MVP ladder. It's Jokic, and then Luka is a little further behind, and then Shai's pretty far behind.
And then is it Giannis after that?
I think Giannis is
and
right
then
after
Sabonis.
that. Yep.
Yeah, so stacked.
And Tatum's up there too. Tatum might be above Sabonis.
It's crazy. Like, all those guys legitimately have cases for MVP, like, any year.
Yeah.
And, of course, this is the year, like, they're all producing at that high of a level. It's crazy. Usually we see 2 guys go at it or 3 guys go at it for the race. Like, you got 6 or 7 real, like, oh, he probably could win it.
Yeah.
Just unreal.
Like the year Nash won it, or like the 2 years, like any of these guys could have won it.
Oh my
over
God.
him, 100%.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now let's move to the Eastern Conference. You know, not as close. We have Boston already clinched. They'll be the 1 seed. Then the Bucks are in second, but they're slipping. Cleveland, Orlando, and New York are all within 2.5 games of the Bucks, so they can move up to the 2 seed. What has stood out to you in the Eastern Conference so far? I'll start with Jalen.
Yeah, the Knicks have been banged up kind of since the All-Star break, and they're still up there proving that they can beat any team on any given night. If they have home court advantage, too, depending on what happens going into the playoffs, it'll be tough, like in a 7-game series going into Madison Square Garden. Brunson, this will be his second playoff run with the Knicks. And, I mean, that guy just gets better and better every year. I talked about in the last episode, he's one of my favorite players to watch. And with, more experience under his belt, overall more experience for that whole team, they're going to be – I'm excited to see what the Knicks do in the playoffs. And the Magic have jumped all the way up to 4th in the standings.
Yep.
If you guys remember back to our first ever episode, me and Ben were pretty high on the Magic, at least to make the play, and we didn't think they were going to do this
the
well.
4 seed.
Yeah, Paolo Banchero really had a breakout season past the expectations that we all thought.
Definitely.
I think the talent he displayed last year, just on that bad Magic team, taking a bunch of shots, you could see, all right, he's going to get more physical and he's going to get better. But just how much he's improved shooting-wise, just efficiency is leaps and bounds in this one off season, in this 1 year. Yeah, super young too, so they're going to be good for the next couple years.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be excited to see what they do in the first round too.
Yeah, his improvement as a shooter was big. A
Yeah.
lot of players don't take that jump right away. Like, you look at Ben Simmons. He was supposed
Yeah, he
to.
never did.
Everyone was getting on him, you need to develop the jump shot, and he never did.
No.
So he eventually fell off. Paolo's doing that, this early is a good sign for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really liking the Magic. They're 2 games behind the 2 seed, which is crazy to say.
Yeah,
Last year they didn't even make the playoffs. Yeah, I'm really liking how Paulo evolved. In the beginning of the season, he wasn't shooting that well, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the year, but yeah, now he's just been killing it. Joe Ingles is the other guy too. He's
the vet. They brought him in.
Yeah,
he's
perfect
very
for what they
important.
needed.
Yeah, I think he's very important. I remember you saying he's has the biggest plus and minus or
Plus
something.
minus, yeah, that was
Yeah.
really early in the
Yeah.
year, maybe a month or 2 into the season. Yeah, he was killing it for them.
Yeah, so
Still is.
I really like them, and then the Knicks as well. They're very interesting. I think Julius Randle being out for the year
Yeah,
is
that's
gonna
a tough
hurt.
blow for
yeah,
sure.
it's gonna hurt in the playoffs. But I really like how they've been playing without him lately. I really love how DiVincenzo's been stepping up to the plate. McBride's been playing every minute in the last 7 games, which I've been
True
trying to
Thibodeau style. Huh?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out. But hopefully OG comes back, and
He's progressing towards it, it looks like. So
Yeah.
playoffs, he should be there.
yeah, but I just don't know how they will stand up against the top teams in the East without Julius Randle. It's hard for me to see them beating Milwaukee or the Celtics or a team like that. But we'll see. I mean, they're definitely a strong team. We just got to see.
Yeah, no, I think they could win their round 1 matchup, especially if it ends up being Orlando versus them, just because they have a little bit of experience. And Brunson in the playoffs last year was killer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, second round's gonna be tough for sure, especially if they run into Milwaukee or Boston, or even Cleveland, just because they don't have Randall. They're missing another all-star.
What do y'all think about the Sixers right now?
I was
going to ask.
thinking about that too.
Because they're 8th seed right now. Joel Embiid just came back. I'm pretty sure they're going to make the playoffs. Just don't know what seed.
It'll be low.
Do y'all think that they have a chance to beat one of the top teams if they're fully healthy with Joel Embiid?
I think they could beat Milwaukee because just Doc Rivers has not been a good coach for them. They're 15-15 with him. They were 30-13 with Adrian Griffin. So I think Milwaukee could get upset early. I don't think they're beating Boston.
Yeah.
So especially with Embiid just coming back, like he's still getting like his legs back and getting back in the groove.
And Boston plays so well on the road.
In Boston, they're just the best all-around team in the league right
Yeah.
now. It's just they have games where they don't look good at all.
Yeah.
They don't respond to losing a lead early. But yeah, Philly, I think they could make an upset. It just can't be Boston. Any team but Boston.
Yeah. To your point, with the lead thing and how bad some of their losses look, and I think we were having this conversation earlier in the week.
Yeah.
The one team out of these top contending like tier 1 NBA Finals favorites teams that I feel like does really well as just a unit in overall close games and like how they handle pressure late is the Nuggets.
100%.
And I think like that's why, and we talk about this too, like if anyone's trying to come up with reasons why the Nuggets aren't going to repeat, like the only thing you could think of is, well, they have the target on their back and, you know, teams are going to not underestimate them as the defending champions. But in terms of actual on-court performance, that's kind of it. Like, they don't have any holes in their roster.
None.
Jokic is, I mean, generational, like, can lead any team through anything. They're kind of all put together. And like the Celtics, who have the best record in the NBA, they've looked at times like, oh, how are they going to respond to another team putting pressure on them, which in the playoffs is going to be so big because no matter how well you do and how many blowout losses you have in an 82-game regular season, when you're playing the same team 7 times, like, it's going to be close.
Yeah.
No matter the matchup, they're going to give you their best game, and you have to show up with your best game, and you're probably going to be down, if not half the time, maybe more than half the time. So, like, that formula of, you know, being able to respond to when you're down as a, like, top contending team is really kind of, I think, a teller as to whether you're a fraud or a real contender once you get to the playoffs. And that's kind of like the one team is the Nuggets that I feel like respond really well to that, which is bad news for the rest of the league going into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, Denver kills it down the stretch. Jamal Murray and Jokic just take over the game. I saw it last year, conference finals. All 4 games against the Lakers were really close, and then Murray and Jokic would go into that little pick and roll.
Yeah.
At like every time down the floor,
Oh my
and it would
God.
just
It's so
kill the
hard to
Lakers.
guard.
Exactly.
Because they got so many counters to that. It's like you got MPJ in the corner. You got Aaron Gordon ready to do whatever.
Your bend don't break
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
way. And after playing 3.5 quarters of, like, your hardest game on defense, and, I mean, your only hope is that one of those guys gets into foul trouble and they're so disciplined on the defensive end. It's like, all right, now we get to crunch time and they're just running pick and roll and you can't stop it. Like,
Yeah. No, it's so hard to defend. If you go over and you're chasing Murray, he could go and finish at the lane.
he puts guys into jail so well off that pick and roll.
Yep.
Mhm.
If you trap Murray, he just slips it to Jokic. Jokic is such a good passer, so whoever is going to step up, it's either a lob to Aaron Gordon or wide open 3 for Michael Porter
Net
Jr.
dunker
It's
spot.
like, it's impossible to guard. So when they go to it in crunch time, you got to hope someone misses a shot.
Yeah,
basically.
you just gotta take what comes with it. Pretty much, that's all you can do. Yeah.
So they're definitely. I think it's gonna be Denver, Boston. Like it's easy to say that because they're 2 high seeds, but they're the best teams.
Boston is. I'm still just not
I am
sold.
scared about that.
I'm just not sold.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I mean, they are a solid team. Don't get me wrong. Like, I really like how they play. Just the couple of games that they really blew, like that 30-point lead that they lost from the Hawks without Trae Young. I don't even think. Yeah, it was just. I don't.
No aura.
Real championship team shouldn't be going down like
on
that.
God.
That was when DeJounte Murray had 44 points on 44 shots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, in the post-game conference, he was like, I still thought I played bad. And we're like, well, you shot the ball kind of every possession last game, so.
Yeah. They got the win, though.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
won the game.
So, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Boston, I definitely am scared. Like you said, their losses are bad.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, though. I want to see how Milwaukee does in the playoffs because just like how you said, they haven't been playing the best. Like, it's kind of been a little mid, and I feel like they're relying a lot on what Giannis and Dame do throughout the game. I kind of want to see how that dynamic is in the playoffs because, I mean, how many years do they have to really, make that
many.
run?
Yeah, the window's really small for
And
them.
Dame's contract is huge, like going forward. Eventually, he's going to be making over $60 million on his contract.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough to keep both those guys together with a good foundation of other players.
Brooke Lopez is like 35 now, so he doesn't have many years left.
Jay Crowder.
Chris Middleton's getting up there in age too, and he's kind of taken a step back over the last few years with his injuries. Yeah, like you said, Jay Crowder, he'll probably be done in the next few seasons.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough for them.
The Bucks, late, when it's close, it doesn't feel like they're in control.
Yeah.
Like
Not at all.
it doesn't feel like, oh my God, this is the second best team in the Eastern Conference. Like, we have to play our A game down the stretch if we want to like go beat this team in the fourth quarter. It feels like they're the ones pressing to try to get back right, like late in the game.
Yeah.
I kind of also feel that way with the Suns. Sometimes they have to. They'll either get up so big early or they'll go down so big early.
Yep.
But they've been playing better recently. Like, they've beat some really good teams down the stretch. And like we were talking about kind of off air, they have the hardest remaining schedule out of those.
So tough.
Oh
That's
my
why
God.
they
all
have
playoff teams.
a tough chance of staying in the
And-
7-8. They might drop
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the 9-10.
Yeah, like big implications too in seeding, because it's not like you're playing an Eastern Conference team where if you lose, you drop a half game. It
Yeah.
depends on what everyone else does. Like, you're playing people who are ahead of you.
Yep.
So like, if you lose, it's so big with
Definitely.
how you move in the standings this late.
100%.
Yeah.
To go back to your point on the Bucks, close games late. I mean, they lost to the Lakers twice without LeBron
Double
playing.
OT.
The first game I was at was when D'Lo hit a game winner in LA. Dinwiddie got the block on Dame. They were up like 4 points with like under a minute left, and the Lakers just had a couple of key shots, and they couldn't do anything on offense. Like,
Yeah.
Giannis turned it over, and then their last shot gets blocked. In the double overtime game, they had so many chances to win that. AD was hurt in that game too, and he played through double overtime. So he wasn't taking a lot of shots in overtime or the fourth quarter. And they still couldn't close it out with Giannis and Dame. So I'm definitely scared for them in the playoffs too. That's kind of like the two best teams in the East have major concerns.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
They're
why
shaky.
I think a team out west is going to win this year.
Yeah, I feel like the West is way too competitive. Like, what would y'all say Milwaukee stacks up against compared to like the third seed down? You know, like,
Yeah.
what's like they're around like the same. You know, I don't know. I don't really know
No, I
exactly
know
how
what
to
you're saying.
explain it, but
I
like,
think, yeah, like all those. When I think about it like this: like, if there's a tier one, if all these teams in the West are tier one, like Milwaukee might not even be in that tier.
Yeah.
Like, the Nuggets and the Celtics are tier one favorites. I don't know that you could even argue another team in either league is maybe.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in the East, if it's just the Bucks in that next tier, in the West there's the Clippers and the
Yeah.
Suns and
OKC,
Minnesota, with how good they are on defense. That could be in that
yeah,
thing too.
Then you got the loomers like the Lakers, the Warriors,
Yeah.
Pelicans.
You could even
And
argue the
they're-
Lakers are like in the playoffs when the Lakers. I mean, they're hot right now. Like,
yeah.
when they're playing
No,
well,
that's what
they're up there
happened
with
exactly
everybody.
last year. They went all the way to conference finals.
Yeah.
So.
Couple right bounces in the playoffs. You know
Yep.
how LeBron is. Like, they
And
can do
he's
it
been
all.
killing it lately.
Yeah.
9 for 10 from 3 on Sunday against
Wow.
the Nets. Highest true shooting percentage of his career is like 103%.
Wow, his evolution is so crazy. I be getting so much edits on him on my.
Oh,
For You
those are
page.
wild. No.
Yeah.
I seen one where a dude had like 10,000 pictures of LeBron in his camera roll, and he was and his girl texted him and said something was like, "Can we just go watch LeBron play or something?" And then it was weird. It was weird.
No,
but it
the
was
edits are getting too crazy
Yeah, they're getting
with
OD.
LeBron.
They're getting OD.
That seems like a good place to transition into the MLB. We'll leave it on that note.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll start with you, Jalen, because the Oakland A's,
Yes.
they kind of have a big change going on.
Goodness gracious, it's
It's
a
kind of been a disaster. So
fucking mess.
Yeah.
in
Put me in
Oakland.
tune, cause I'm not totally sure what's going on.
So, before I kind of go into what's happening currently with the A's at the beginning of this year, their owner John Fisher is very like the opposite of an ideal owner for a sports team. Has absolutely no, like, not even has no regard for the fans, but also like is actively antagonizing the fans in order to push some goals that he's trying to get. Like, he's trying to just be. He's trying to get rich. Like, he's milking this team as a cash cow for money, and he's trying to move them to Vegas because bigger, just more money all around for opportunity for that team. Despite what the fans want, what the team wants. So in order to get them to Vegas, he's actively putting out the worst product on the field in Oakland, so that when attendance goes down and they become 30th in the league, they're like, hey, look, we're not getting any support from our local fans, guys. We have to move to Vegas. MLB approved it. They're gonna probably end up in Vegas, but recently, because the lease is up on their current stadium, the Ring Central Coliseum in Oakland, where they've played since
Forever.
the 70s, since they moved from Kansas City when they were the Kansas City A's.
Yep.
Very big like childhood memories for me there. I went to my first A's game was like 2006 ALDS against I believe it was the Tigers. It might have been Justin Verlander's rookie year.
Oh wow.
Or maybe the Twins. I think the Twins is who they played in the CS, so it might have been that series. Anyway, I was 1 year old.
Yeah.
So huge. I mean, I've been an A's fan since before I could talk. And like watching the whole MLB not the whole MLB, but people who are kind of casual fans turn and look at the situation and go, oh my God, they got the worst fan base in the league. Where were you 5 years ago? Actually, now, wow, that just shows how fast time flies. 2019 wild card, they set the record for the most single game attendance in the playoffs because that stadium's so big. 53,000 people packed in that stadium, all wearing green. It was it was so loud. I was at that game. It's my sophomore year of high school, and like the owner got what he wanted. Like people now kind of calling out A's fans, like, look, even no matter what the product, they're not going to show up. But when the product is good, we do show up. Yeah. We made the playoffs in 2018, 2019, and 2020. 2020 was obviously the COVID year, but they won a playoff series against the White Sox in the first round. But yeah, their lease is up on the stadium. The move to Vegas is targeted for 2028. So in the meantime, they're going to play in Sacramento at a AAA stadium. Yep. It seats 14,000, and for those who don't know, I know we're in an LA market. Sacramento's about 90 minutes away from Oakland. So like real Oakland fans who, I mean, what little season ticket holders they probably have left, a lot of them are kind of from a little bit of a higher age bracket from when the A's were really good. Won back-to-back World Series. But those real diehard A's fans who are from Oakland, born and raised, rooted in Oakland, are not going to get, I mean, you got to drive 90 minutes on 5 all the way up to Sacramento to get to a game, and attendance is going to be still super low.
Horrible.
And it's going to be people from Sacramento who, are A's fans probably, or maybe not even A's fans
who
would just, we have an MLB team in Sacramento, let's go. But that's all kind of eyewash. The point is this owner is taking all the money from the TV contracts. He's taking all the money from the sponsorships because the payroll in the MLB that teams have to pay their players comes from the top. It's not like the NBA where it's like you have a salary cap and then you have money for the top and you have money for, to pay your players' contracts. In the MLB, it's all like your money is your money and you can kind of disperse it however.
There's no cap, right?
Which is why there's no cap. Like why the bigger market teams like the Yankees, who make so much money off their sponsorships and TV contracts, they can put it towards their team because there's no salary cap while also making a ton of money. Obviously, Cashman makes so much money. Yep. But
Dodgers
the A's
doing that.
Yes.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about the Dodgers right now. But the AC Fisher's taking all this money just to get himself richer and not acknowledging the fans. They turned off the comments and the replies on all the A's social media, which is just unbelievable.
Wow,
like
that's weird.
That might be the first time in pro sports like that's happened. I've never seen a social media team turn off their comments.
Maybe like one post, but not like
the whole season. Yeah. Like you're not able to comment on A's stuff. Like I'm following the A's Instagram. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
so it's just an active like disregard and fuck you to the fans so that he can get more money to move to Vegas. But anyway, circling back to the content. The A's are going to be playing in Sacramento for the next couple of years. I think there's a 3-year lease with an opt-out after every year.
So will they be Oakland or would it be Las Vegas?
So that's another thing. Just to kind of keep going with that narrative that to antagonize Oakland, they're not even having a city name in their jersey. When they go to Sacramento, they're just going to be the A's or the Athletics. Like how the Guardians. Like it's going to be like a reverse. Remember when the Indians changed their name to the Guardians? Yeah. So for like a season they were just Cleveland. Oh. Now it's like the Athletics. Yeah. So like I see all this stuff on social media. The Athletics baseball team.
The Athletics baseball team. Yeah, I was literally gonna say they could be like the Washington football
So it's
team.
just a shit show in Oakland, and it hurts. It hurts as a Bay Area native, as an A's fan who has, like, that area has so much pride in the green and gold. Like that team's, even while Fisher, because he's been the owner since 2013 or 2011, somewhere like that. And they've made playoff runs since then. And even when he was kind of like not putting the best product out there, refusing to pay the stars that you develop, and then once they hit free agency, they trade them away, even when they're in their contending window, just because he doesn't want to spend any money. They were still going out and like winning games just because there was so much pride in that like Oakland name. And now having it getting taken away, it's like not even is there a good product on the field, but just the upside with like the farm system and the young guys coming up. There's literally nothing to be excited about as an A's fan, and it's just terrible. In the past, like when they're really bad, 2017 in between their window of championships, they were really bad, and like 2010 through 2011, they were really bad. But it was still so fun to like go to their games and root for them because they were still actively trying to win the game, and like they had vets on their team.
Yeah.
They had the most walk-offs in the 2010s, I'm pretty sure, overall. So it was just fun to watch like that bad team go out there and like, no, look, like we're still scrappy. Now it's bad, the product on the field, but it's like to another level. Like guys I've never even heard of are playing. Like AAA, maybe fringe AAA starters are playing at the big league level, just to save as much money and lose as many games as possible. It's just so fucked up.
And they're sending down the only good players.
Yes. So another rant I'm going to go on. So Estuary Ruiz led the league last year in stolen bases with 67. He's the A's center fielder. Kind of had a subpar hitting year, but his defense is really good. And then the A's lone all-star, Brent Rooker, who had an amazing first half to the year last year, hit 32 home runs in the season last year. Rooker got benched, and Ruiz, after starting the season with like a .429 batting average, he was 3 for 4 on opening day, stole a couple bags, like showing that, no, I'm going to get better from last year. They sent him down to AAA right after the first series, and Rooker is, I mean, I think if he's playing, he's like batting 7th, clearly the best hitter on the team or on the bench. And there's a lot of speculation that it's because they were wearing these wristbands from this long-time Oakland kind of social media group called Last Dive Bar. So all of our listeners, please go check them out. They do a lot of good stuff for the Bay Area. They represent really well. So they've been partnered with, like directly partnered with Oakland for a while. They were making shirts and merch with their Last Dive Bar name, just like selling it outside the Coliseum and online for a while.
Yeah.
And they ended up signing a deal with the A's, like, you can continue selling because, you're promoting good stuff for our team. We're just going to take a commission. And they were like, oh, this is huge. We're happy to do it. So they've been in partnership for a while. Ever since this whole sell the team stuff and with the A's moving to Vegas has gone on, Last Dive Bar has been very vocal on social media about, hey, look, you're fucking us over. And Ruiz and Rooker were wearing a couple of wristbands from Last Dive Bar, and there's some speculation that the team got a wind of that and are now punishing them for that, which is just.
Wait, so is the owner he's been the same owner for the past however long?
Yeah, 13 years or something like that.
So
Yeah.
what changed from like, because you said like 4 years ago you guys were good, right?
Yeah, so he's always been like this. Like the A's are very known for building up stars through. So in the MLB, when you bring a rookie up, you have 6 years of control before they hit free agency.
It's cheap contracts.
Yeah,
okay.
you can, for the first 3 years, you pay them whatever you want as long as it's 80% more than their previous year's salary. So you kind of, it's like a rookie contract in the NBA, but just for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then the last 3 years, the team still has control over you. You meet in front of a judge. It's called arbitration. You meet in front of a judge, and then the team's lawyers also meet in front of a judge, and you kind of just, it's like 3 days, you just battle back and forth about what you should be paid, and then the judge decides. But then after that, you hit the market. So the A's are known for developing these stars, and then last year, 2 years of their contracts, instead of negotiating an extension and paying them, they just trade them away and try to get prospects back because they just don't have any money, or don't have any money. They do have enough money. The owner just keeps it.
Yeah.
But I think it was just a different time in where the A's franchise was. Like, that was way before the Vegas move was conceptualized. So Fisher was like, hey, look, I kind of have to, if I blatantly try to, milk this team for money and not pay anyone, I'm probably going to get in trouble because we're kind of good. And now that it's like, oh, we're moving to Vegas and, all these external things I made so that he is able to exploit that system and just not pay anyone. And they have the lowest payroll in the MLB for the second year in a row now.
Yep.
It's lower than, like, Shohei's getting paid, I mean, not this year, but
eventually.
after this 10 years, he'll be getting paid $70 million a year.
Yep.
The A's payroll for all 160-something players in the organization is $40 million.
That's insane.
Like, there's no floor or cap on the salary, and it's just like,
so he's been wanting to
exploiting
move
that.
to Vegas. Then, like, even when you guys were good, he's just been wanting to move.
He's been scheming.
Probably,
Yeah, he's
for
been
sure.
scheming.
And also with that, I don't want to be one-sided. So to talk about the city side, the city of Oakland, and just the politics overall, the A's get no help from the Oakland government.
Was that the same with the Raiders too?
Raiders too.
Okay.
Just Oakland is
They're both
and
going to Vegas.
that's why San Francisco moved That's why the Warriors moved to San Francisco.
Okay.
Just because Oracle, they weren't able to get renovations to that stadium. Oracle is right across in the same parking lot as the Coliseum. So just overall, like, Oakland's really hard for tax dollars to go towards sports teams. It's just not that kind of city. So, yeah, that's my rant.
Yep.
Kind of
Makes
good to
sense,
get it off
though.
my chest because I've kind of been holding that in for a while. So,
Do you
getting it out in
think-
universe and for you guys to share my pain because it's brutal. Bro.
Yeah. Do you think once they're in Vegas, he'll pay players once their contract's up?
I really hope so. And that's what's so hard about the move is, like, if you had a competent owner, you're like, okay, we're in this tough situation right now where we have no money, but we're going to move to this other situation, like how it was with the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
They moved to Vegas. I'm like, oh, this sucks because I'm not going to be able to get to go to Raiders games. But I know with Mark Davis, like, he's going to use all this money that they're going to get to make the stadium nice. Allegiant Stadium is awesome.
Yep.
And
Really nice.
like
One of the
that
best
that
stadiums.
team,
Yeah.
they're even though the Raiders have had their struggles or whatever in the past couple of years, are really bad. They're trying to win
Yeah.
games, and they're
Yeah.
out and they're
No,
putting.
they're competitive.
they're making good moves
They're
too.
showing the public that they're actually trying to win. You know what I mean?
You just don't know. Like, I think as long as Fisher's still the owner, it's not going to be very good for baseball.
Yeah.
For the A's, which sucks because it's like, bro, you're still going to make a lot of money if you sell this team to someone who wants to actually win. It's just that now, after all this controversy and stuff, now the value of the A's is depleting because potential buyers know if he wants to sell this to me, it's going to be at a lower price because of the shit job that he's done at managing it. Whereas maybe, late 2010s when we were still kind of winning, but real A's fans from Oakland knew what was going on within the city,
Yeah.
he probably would have gotten more money for selling the team then, just because of the whole situation. So it's messed up.
Do you think it all goes to them just sticking to the money ball, like, way of trying to win for so many years?
I think when they were trying to win through Moneyball, at least they were trying to win.
Yeah.
Now it's like Moneyball for my pockets, Moneyball. But yeah, I think with Vegas, it'll be a couple years before they get all the money to kind of be a bigger market team.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a balance because from a fan standpoint, they're gonna pack that stadium with people who aren't A's fans.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing with like how the Chargers faced when they first moved to LA.
Yeah.
More than 50% of their home games, they pretty much played 17 away games when the Chargers first moved to
Still
LA.
now.
Still
I mean,
now.
You get a decent amount of Chargers fans, but it's still
Like when they play
usually
the
more
Niners?
the away fans usually.
Or the
more.
Raiders.
Yep.
When they play California teams,
Yep.
Chargers fans, half the stadium is silver and black or red.
Yep.
That's how it's going to be for the A's for a while. And it's going to suck watching on TV as a fan, like, we're a mockery. We're out there in our new pretty stadium that looks like the Sydney Opera House, and there's 40,000 Yankees fans when we play a home series.
Yep.
So,
No, it's gonna be tough too because you got the Raiders as competition there.
oh my God.
And the NBA is saying when they expand again, they're
Yeah,
gonna
they
move
want
the team to
some in
Vegas, and
T-Mobile.
LeBron wants to be an owner in Vegas.
UFC, Vegas is the home of the
Yeah,
UFC.
So
UFC.
it's not gonna be an easy market
It's a
for
lot of-
them
for
to
sure.
dominate and get fans right
Yeah,
away.
when
Especially when they're not winning.
100%. When the Raiders move there is one thing. We're going to get our own stadium. We're going to be away from the strip. With the A's, it's like, okay, now that we're making this move after all these other moves, like, maybe our market is super saturated. Like, at what point do we get to at what threshold is it to where, okay, teams just aren't going to, or fans aren't going to care about these new teams that are moving? Because the Knights were the first
Yep.
pro team to kind of,
They got the Knights too.
And
be
all the other
Vegas written.
entertainment stuff in Vegas, like
gambling.
And that was even the thing, like when the Vegas Golden Knights were first incepted in 2017 or 18 or whatever it was.
Yep.
It was like, we're going to get no support. Like, we're just going to make money off, bookie deals and stuff like that and just being in Vegas. And then they started winning, and now they've kind of solidified themselves as, like, Vegas identity. And then the Raiders come, and then the A's come. It's going to be. And then whatever's after the A's. And the A's are just going to be in the middle of all these moves towards Vegas. And Vegas is going to be Vegas for, forever. So, I don't know. I'm not too high on the move, let alone the situation. Obviously, the situation is super infuriating, but the move itself, I'm like, there's all these unknowns. It's not just going to be sunshine and winning. Oh, I was going to talk about how I think in this information age with social media, with, so many podcasts like ours, the average fan, this is the smartest they've ever been. And this is the most information they've ever gotten because of just media and
100%.
the way, sports media is going. There's going to be, I think that eventually, after so many X amount of time shedding light on this sports atrocity that is getting committed towards the A's, like, people are going to start getting on board and be like, no, dude, like, we need to find a way to make sure this doesn't happen. Because if one person can do it, another person can do it. And then when does it start leaking into other sports? And just it takes the purity out of the season, because it's like there's 29 teams. Like, you know what I mean?
It's tricky, I think, especially for the MLB, because they're so, like, they're like one of the first ever, like, professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they did have a cap on teams, then I feel like it would be more, like, the teams will be more competitive.
Yeah.
But I just don't see them putting a cap on.
Yeah.
Because they're making so much money.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Because for me, I think they should, just because it's like what the Dodgers have been doing has kind of gotten out of control.
Yeah. So I've thought about that so much, because overall I'm pretty conservative when it comes to baseball. Like, I didn't like the at first I didn't like the pitch clock rule. I think the enforcement of it has been really good. The 3-batter minimum rule with relief pitchers, the bigger bases, the no pickoff rule. I don't like any of that, because you're changing the game to where how it's played is too different from the pureness of the original game of baseball. If you're going to make these changes, it's supposed to be to improve on holes and, like, just stuff that messes with the rhythm of the game. I think the stuff that they've been changing kind of makes it to where it's not improving on anything. It's just making it a different game. Mm-hmm. But with the cap, I'm like, okay, I think there should be a floor for sure, because of what the A's are doing. The Pirates did it a couple of years ago.
Yep. And
I know now they're trying to win. So it's a completely different situation with Pittsburgh. But I know Pirates fans were not happy for a while because of the product on the field too, because it was like, okay, we're going to be bad. We might as well just be really bad so we can make a little bit more money. I definitely think there should be a floor, just so that owners can be held accountable. But I think the cap would take away from the overall, like, culture of baseball. And I know that might be a good thing, because, like you said, of the stuff that the Dodgers are doing, the Yankees every year, they target the top, guys on the market every year, just because that's how they win. They pay the free agents. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because the Yankees and the Dodgers have combined one World Series in the last 14 years together.
That's true.
And it was during the COVID year.
So
it doesn't clearly. My bad. I'll let you talk in a second. But I don't think it clearly translates to, oh, there's no cap. That means I'm just gonna throw all my money at the team. That doesn't necessarily equate to a World Series. And I think in the NBA or in the NFL it would.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't necessarily think it needs to be implemented. But sorry, I cut you off.
I think the Dodgers, like this case, this is gonna be like the determining factor for the MLB.
Yeah.
Because if this team goes on to win like 3 in a row or
Yeah.
something like that, I think
People
that's
are
when
gonna
they
start
would
to-
look into it.
Yeah.
Because their team on paper is like, we were talking about it yesterday. It's just so stacked.
Unbelievable. And they signed like we were saying earlier, like the Teoscar Hernandez signing, that was the Dodgers' last signing in free agency after they had acquired Ohtani, traded for Glass now and signed Yamamoto out of Japan, they were like, oh, no one's going to go after this right fielder. We'll just pay him and we'll get him.
Yep.
It's like they turned off contracts on their franchise mode and they're just going in on
Yep.
signing everyone during the offseason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're finding loopholes to do it. Like, for those who don't know, the Shohei Ohtani contract structured in a way, it's 10 years for $700 million. So it's an AAV of $70 million a year. But for the 10 years that Ohtani is going to be playing for the Dodgers, they're paying him
It's $2 or $3 million.
$2 or $3 million a year. I think it's $2.
Yep.
They're paying him $2 million a year for the time that he's actually going to play for the Dodgers. And then after his contract is up, for the next 10 years, they're going to pay him $60 million a year to go not play for the Dodgers.
And that's why they're able to go sign other guys. So
Like, putting that in the contract, you could defer everyone's money towards the back
at that
end.
point.
So where, I'm just going to sign every star for $1 million a year, and then now I have all this other money to go pay other people. It really would
That's
be
gonna be
like
a lot of
turning
money.
contracts off on
Yeah.
free agency
100%.
in a video game. So that aspect, that's kind of a loophole.
That's
for
why
sure.
I think they'll definitely correct that
Yeah,
because the deferred money got out.
that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like the whole Bobby Bonilla thing.
Yep.
It's gonna be the Shohei Ohtani thing. In 20 years, think about that. In 20 years, Shohei Ohtani is gonna be paid $60 million.
Yep.
In 2043,
For not even playing.
and he's
for-
gonna be, he'll be 48 years old, probably not playing in the MLB,
Yeah.
just sitting
That's
in Japan, chilling with his wife or multiple wives. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever
I don't know
feels.
what's going on.
He got 60 million, this man.
You know, it's crazy. Well, now that we're talking about
Yes.
Ohtani, let's get into the Shohei Ohtani situation.
Yes.
So I'll let you.
Yeah, so I'm losing track of time. I don't know how long ago it is. I think it's been 2 weeks now
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
since the whole Ohtani gambling scandal. So if I remember correctly, the first news that broke was that the Dodgers and Ohtani had parted ways with the interpreter.
Yep.
I'm forgetting his name right now.
Ipe.
Ipe, yes. So they parted ways with him because allegedly, the first news that broke was he had access to Shohei Ohtani's bank accounts, and he was funneling money from Shohei Ohtani's bank accounts to these bookies to gamble. And it was like, oh, we fired our interpreter because he was going behind Shohei's back and taking money and gambling, when in reality, no interpreter has access to $4.5 million. That was one of the receipts, was like he moved $4.5 million at one time for one exchange. So a lot of people were like, okay, he's clearly the fall guy for Ohtani's gambling. And then at first, the MLB didn't investigate it because that's your Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to.
In the
especially in the
international
MLB.
market too.
Oh my
That
God!
they're hitting with
Yeah.
him.
Holy
Yeah,
cow.
they
Played-
didn't want to investigate him.
Yeah, played right after playing the first series in Korea.
Yep.
So they didn't want to investigate it, like you said, and I think they did run an investigation probably 3 days after the news broke on social media. And then Ohtani came out with a statement instead of actually holding a press conference, and
Yeah, he took
Answering.
no questions.
took no questions, just held a press conference with the new interpreter. And yeah, one of the jokes I saw, excuse me, on social media was that Pete Rose, who was the OG baseball gambler, got banned from the MLB Hall of Fame. He leads the MLB in career hits, so he
He was a legend.
he's one of the GOATs. And he's banned from the Hall of Fame because in his managing days, he would bet on his team to win the game, let alone still betting. And, that's why he got banned from the Hall of Fame. And he came out right after and said, oh, if I just had an interpreter, I'd be good. So, yeah, I think the whole situation is that as a fan, you have to say, hey, look, like, you, whatever you think is how you think. But from the MLB's perspective, it's like, this is our guy. It's good for the MLB that he doesn't, he does speak English, but that his main language is Japanese, so that they can kind of defer that heat a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a weird situation overall, and they could not afford him in his first year with the Dodgers being taken down from a gambling scandal. So just more fishy stuff with the
Dodgers
MLB.
would have been in shambles.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
lord. Yeah.
But it's just weird. Like Ohtani had to know about
No,
it. Like
he-
whether he was the one that was betting, like for sure he knew about it because
100%.
he lived with Ipe, his interpreter. So like they're together pretty much 24 hours a day. Like if someone loses $4.5 million, like you're gonna know about it.
Yeah, no, he was probably
100%.
gambling.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like us as fans, we're like, especially now with like advertisements for gambling being legalized and like more states legalizing gambling and the whole prize picks culture. We're just like, oh well, he gambles, we gamble. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, this would have been a whole thing,
You know, it's just
and now it's just
dependent on the league too. Like the MLB is
Oh.
pretty strict on stuff. The NFL allows gambling as long as it's not on the NFL and you can't be in a team facility, or like on the team plane if you're going to a game or anything.
yeah.
So if you're at home, you could bet on the NBA as an NFL player. NBA I think is similar to that. Just obviously you can't bet on the NBA, gotta bet on other sports. MLB is very strict in like a lot of things they do. So definitely this is the sport where it's like if not necessarily their investigation, but I think the FBI was looking into it or someone else.
There was definitely some legal.
If they
action,
find
too.
something against Ohtani, it's gonna force the MLB to make a decision. And that would be very interesting.
It might look bad on the MLB too
It
if
does.
they do find
It
something.
would. It
Because
would.
Very
then
bad.
it'll look-
100%.
yeah, it will
Because
look
it's like, oh, we did our investigation. We turned our blind eye.
And then
yeah.
I'm sure
Taking it a
that
little bit.
legal team would leave. Okay, we're gonna look into how you investigated it.
Yeah.
And then the
everybody's
MLB
everybody's
could get
going
hit
there.
with something too.
No, the MLB, like, the MLB is really strict, but it's like they're strict with some stuff, and then other stuff there's like no rules at all. That's why I feel like there's so many scandals in the MLB with the whole Houston Astros cheating thing and the Red Sox using the Apple Watches, and I mean, there's been so many more in between all these different scandals. It's like there's so much money in the MLB that it's like corruption is gonna follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but I mean, dating back to 1800s,
It's just the way it is.
that's just
like,
like kind of
humans.
baseball culture.
Yeah.
Baseball culture to kind of be influenced with money, which is not good, but
It makes everything interesting though.
Yeah.
It gives us
Does.
something to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, now we'll get into just non-controversial stuff going on in the MLB. So our early season takeaways. So we'll start. We'll keep going with the Dodgers.
yes,
Mookie Betts has been killing it so far.
yeah, at his new position at shortstop.
Yep.
After playing a year at second base, after being a Gold Glove right fielder his whole career, Dodgers are like, hey, look, we're gonna move you to shortstop, and he was just kind of like, all right, and he's continuing to hit, proving that he's
Killing it. 5 home runs already.
one of the best players of our generation now.
And I brought it up to you yesterday. A star player that's willing to change positions multiple times. That
Mhm.
just shows they want to win. Like,
Mhm.
that shows how committed they are
Yeah.
as a player.
Seen that a little bit more. Bryce Harper last year officially got moved to first base.
Yep.
After them trying him out. Guys, especially in the infield, get moved to the outfield all the time later in their career. But yeah, Mookie Betts is such a phenomenal athlete. Like, there's no surprise. If there's one guy in the MLB who could do it, it's him.
And then Mike Trout looking good so far.
Yes.
After a couple injury-riddled years where he wasn't even when he was playing, he wasn't looking phenomenal.
Yeah, I just hope with him that he goes to a contending team at some point before this guy's illustrious career is over. I mean, there was a time when we were debating on if he maybe was the greatest baseball player of all time, just in terms of on-field talent, and which I think still is valid. He just has
he's
not
up there, but it's just
haven't seen
He's
him
been
in
falling off.
October.
one playoff series.
One playoff series, one hit.
Yep, 1 for 14, I
Yeah.
think. 1 home run.
Yeah.
That was his only hit.
In 2014,
Against
now
the
tied
Royals.
with the longest.
2014.
That's the last time the best player in the MLB made the maybe not best
One
anymore,
of the
but
best.
Yeah. No,
for
I
a
love
while
me some
he
Mike
was
Trout.
For a while, he was
unanimous
the consensus best.
unanimous number
Yep.
one player in the MLB.
I remember I went to a Mariners game and they were playing, and he was just cooking. Like he might have had
He's
like
so
2-3
good.
home runs. Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, he's one of my favorite baseball players. I don't even watch baseball, and I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
like he's
And he's a good guy, too.
Yes,
Very humble.
and he's very just about. And this is so ironic. Like, he's not really rah media guy. He just kind of wants to play baseball, and he just hasn't won anything. Usually, guys like that
Yeah.
just want to be where they're winning, And
Well, he's loyal too, is the thing, and
yeah,
that sucks for
signed a
him.
big ass contract
Besides
to the Angels.
the A's owner, Artie Moreno of the Angels, definitely one of the worst owners
Yeah,
in that
the
MLB.
owner's not very good.
But we won't go on that rant because we're already pretty.
Yeah. Oh, and we were talking about the Angels owner too, how they're pretty bad.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know later in Trout's career if he's still kind of producing at this top level. Like, I don't know if a team is gonna want to take on all that money that he's gonna get paid in his later 30s.
How old is
Yeah.
he?
He's young. He's still
He's like
31, 2.
Yeah.
For real? He's
Yeah.
I'll
that
look
young?
it up right now.
And he's been MVP. I think he won his first MVP in 2013 or 14.
32.
Yeah.
Jeez, I thought he was older, like older.
He's been
No, he
playing
ca-
for
he
that
came
long.
in the league really young.
He's just
Okay,
yeah,
I see.
he was really good from the very start in 20 when he was
He was second in MVP his rookie
Yeah.
year.
20
Jeez.
He
maybe
was
11.
2012,
12?
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when Miguel Cabrera won.
Oh,
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah, so hopefully Angels maybe decide to pay his money later on and he can go play for someone else, but
Yeah, no,
it'll
be
suck to
interesting.
not see him in the playoffs for the rest of his career.
100%. Well, we're gonna wrap it there. We had a lot of rants. Hopefully the
Yes,
the
thanks
A's
for
listen
thanks
to
for
you.
thanks for
Maybe
bearing
they'll put me in the
with
front
me.
office. Fix some things.
Get me in there. I have all the gear already. I'll just show up to work first day in green and gold.
There you go. And that'll do it for this episode, our first on camera.
Yeah,
thank you,
episode.
guys.
So
Perfect.
hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We'll figure out how to make it work better in the future. But yeah, class dismissed. Thank you for listening to the Sports Report Podcast. Be sure to check out our Instagram at the Sports Report Pod for more content and to never miss an episode. We'll see you next time.
Score!